About 16 from a rescue.
Okay.
She came here 150, 200 pounds underweight. She had whip marks all over her. You couldn't touch her head. You couldn't pick up her feet. She kicked and bit. When she first kicked me, and like I said, I have this permanent hoof print in my leg. Bit. And then all of a sudden, she just got nasty.
How do you mean?
So she will kick you, she will charge at you, she will try to push you around. She seemed like a lot of pain. So the vet came out here. We got her on some ulcer medications, and some gut grains.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really work all that much. I took her back off the grains because she almost seemed to get nastier.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking maybe there's something in there that wasn't agreeing with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got her off the grain, she kind of did better. But she's still not.
And how long has it been since you've done anything with her now?
Oh, at least a year, 2 years.
Okay.
In the beginning of the video, the owner said that the horse would kick and bite. She also said that the horse would charge at people. While I was talking to her, she was holding the horse, and when the horse saw something behind her, she pushed into the owner. These were all signs of disrespect. The owner said she had a vet check the horse, and then she tried giving her medicated grain for a while, which she said made things worse. And then when she stopped feeding the grain, things got a little bit better. This could also be a sign of disrespect, similar to feeding treats to a horse. I began watching the horse in the pen while she was grazing on some green grass. She appeared unconcerned about her surroundings. It was my intention to enter the pen and watch the horse for a reaction. I carried only a rope halter with a 13-foot lead rope and a leather popper on the end. I don't use a whip for several reasons. One of which is I feel it's unnecessary and I just think it gets in my way. The other is I don't want the horse to act differently according to whether or not I have the whip with me. You can be certain that a horse knows when you have a whip in your hand and when you don't. The first thing I want to do is read the horse's body language. I want to know if they're frightened, I want to know if they're aggressive, I want to know if they're disrespectful, and I also want to know if their body language changes as I approach them. If it does change, that might change the techniques that I use. I want to give the horse a chance to read my body language. I want them to see me as calm, confident, and unafraid of them. In the case of this little mare, she's so busy eating grass that she's not really acknowledging my presence other than watching me slightly. She's not showing disrespect, but she also is not showing that she does respect me. I would like to have a little more of her attention. This is by far the most important thing I'm doing today. It's opening communication between myself and the horse. The most important part of a horse is their mind. Their body will follow whatever their mind tells it to. Sure, I can make a horse physically do whatever I want them to do, but it's much more important that they choose to do the right thing. The safe and easy method consists of 5 parts. The first is respect. Without respect, a horse can be dangerous and they can be extremely difficult to train. I start gaining their respect by making them move. It's not the movement itself, but it's the act of how I influence their movement. Making them just run around in mindless circles does nothing. It's the starting, the turning, the speeding up, and the stopping that builds their respect for me. Each time we do one of these maneuvers, their respect increases. The way in which I make them move is very important. I make them move by applying pressure. I need to apply only enough pressure to make them move, and no more. If I don't apply enough pressure, nothing happens. If I apply too much pressure, I get resentment. She needs to move out a little faster. Increasing her speed reinforces my influence over her. I'm not trying to make her tired. If she gets too tired, she won't learn. I usually won't take them more than about 2 laps around the pen before we change maneuvers. One of the reasons that this method is safer than many is that it always starts out at liberty. I have no physical connection to the horse, no rope tied to a halter, and no rope around the neck. This is important for 2 reasons. One is for safety, because you're not playing tug-of-war with a 1,000-pound animal. The other is that the horse does not feel claustrophobic, making it less likely that they'll panic. She's trying to hide in the corner. This is where a round pin would have been better to work with. I would normally conduct this kind of exercise in about a 50-foot round pin like the one at my own facility. It's always best to start any kind of liberty training in a round pin. It just gives you the extra control until the horse learns what's expected of them. To make her turn, I back up and release some of the pressure. I'll then move towards the fence, blocking her path, then start applying pressure again. If you'll notice, I very seldom touch the horse with the rope. I only do it on the occasions where they start losing respect for me. The exercises that we did in this part of the video were not very hard on the horse. She seldom went faster than a trot, and the entire exercise lasted only 8 minutes. It's important that you work a horse, but not too hard, not too long. They all have what I call a sweet spot. If you don't work them enough, they don't learn anything. And if you work them too much, they get mad, they stop thinking, and they stop learning. So the sweet spot is somewhere between not doing enough and doing too much. Every horse is different. Part of training is learning where that sweet spot is for each individual horse. Just about the time I want to start catching her eye and moving on to step 2 of the method, she expresses her dissatisfaction with me. As evidenced by bowing her neck, she's starting to get mad, so I put her back to work. I don't want to fight with her. That'll just make things worse. Making her work harder will change her mind. I want to continue this until she moves out with a more relaxed attitude. That's it for part 1. Respect has been accomplished, and it's time to move on to part 2, connection.